Welcome to Selenium with C Has Training Session 5. In this session, you can learn what are the different operations we can perform on checkbox and radio button. So whenever you are seeing the checkbox right in any web page, right, you can definitely know that in case for a particular option there are 6 checkbox, 5 checkbox, you can select or unselect the checkbox whatever is required, right? But for radio button, suppose for a particular option, in case you have 3 radio button, you can only select one radio button at a time. Suppose say if you selected options A, right, and if you want to select option B, so automatically your option A will be unselected and option B will be selected. But for checkbox, if you want to select it, you have to click on that. If you want to unselect it, you have to again click on that. But you can, if there is a 5 option, you can select all of them or you can unselect all of them. So that is the basic difference of the checkbox and the radio button. So what are the different operations you can perform for a checkbox? So first, definitely with the help of displayed method, you can verify whether the checkbox is displayed or not. In case it is displayed, next thing, with the help of enable method, you can verify whether the checkbox is in enable status or disable status. Then you can check whether the checkbox is already selected or not. To verify, with the help of selected method, you can verify whether the checkbox is selected or not. After that, if you want to select or deselect the checkbox, you can use the click methods, right? Then you can select or unselect the checkbox. So now you can see how we can do the different operations, right, for a checkbox. So let's open the site demo.guru99.com test radio button. You can see here there is a lot of checkbox available, checkbox 1, checkbox 2, checkbox 3. So we'll automate one checkbox and we will try to see how, right, we can get the different properties of the checkbox and definitely we can perform the operation on the checkbox. So let's press F12 button to inspect one element. So you need to click on the inspect button here and we can mouse over for any checkbox. You can see if you select checkbox 1, it will give you the property input type equal to checkbox, ID equal to something that. So with the help of ID, we can uniquely identify the object or the element, right? So we already opened that our project Selenium WebDriver tutorial in the Visual Studio. So we are already writing the steps for launching the Chrome browser, maximizing it and passing the URL for that demo Guru99 page where we will try to identify the different radio button and checkbox. After that we will try to perform it. So it's opening, right? Now with the help of IWebElement, right, I will first identify the checkbox. So let's identify the checkbox 1 with the help of ID. So this is the ID. So suppose say this is the IWebElement checkbox 1 element equal to driver.FindElement by.id. So that's why I can identify the element. So my element identification is done. This is my checkbox 1, right? My element identification is done. This is the checkbox 1. After that, what are the different operations I can perform? So this is the ID. So with the help of ID, I have identified the element and I am storing it in the checkbox 1 variable, right? Then first I can check whether it is displayed or not. So I can call the displayed method, right? So I can take the variable and I can call dot operation if I can check whether displayed method is there or not. You can see it is coming from the IWebElement class. The displayed method is coming from the IWebElement. So this is an WebElement method, you must remember. And what is return type? Return type is a boolean. So we need to store some boolean variable, right? So if I select displayed, I can store in some boolean variable. B-O-O-L boolean, suppose say A. I can store it. So in Java it will be boolean, B-O-O-L-E-N. In C hash it will be bool variable. You can name as bool for the boolean. It will give you true or false. Then you can print out, right? So how can you print out? So for printing out in the console, so it will be console.WriteLine, console.WriteLine, right? And here you can print it out. Suppose say I want to check, I want to add some text as well during printing. Okay, so what is the, I can check here, display status of checkbox 1. I can give some space and then I concatenate the variable, right? So what is my variable? A. Okay, so that's why I can check the display status. So it will be giving me true option, right? So it will giving me true option. Similarly, I can create two more variables, right? So one variable I will be creating as called variable B, Boolean variable, where I can check whether it is enabled or not. So checkbox is enabled or not, dot enabled. So here I can check whether the enablement status of checkbox, right? Enablement status of checkbox, and I can give the variable V. So it will be also true. Then next I can create another variable called Boolean variable called C, where I can check whether this checkbox is selected or not. So right now I did not select it, right? So here it will be selected, selection status of checkbox 1 before select, before click. So what the options will be there? It will be false. It will be false, right? Because I did not select the checkbox. Then now I can select the checkbox. So how can I select the checkbox? I will be using click, right? So I can use click. So what will happen? Now the checkbox will be selected, right? So now if you want to check whether your selection, sorry, here it will be variable will be C. Now if you want to check your checkbox is selected or not, so definitely it will be selected, right? So now we can store in some variable D whether checkbox is selected or not. So selection status of the checkbox after click, it will be D, and it will be again it will be true because right now I have selected. So I have tried to use all the important operations or all the important method for the checkbox, right? First I am checking whether displayed or not with the help of displayed method. So I already created a variables, right, where I am storing the properties, right, for the web element, which is the checkbox 1. Then with that particular variables, I am calling the displayed methods available in the IWebElement, and I am storing in some Boolean variable A, and I am checking the displayment status. So obviously it will be displayed, and then it will be selected, not selected. It will be enabled. Then only we can able to select it, right? So it both will be true. Selected. So first time it is not selected, right? It will just displayed only. It will not be selected. So it will be giving me false result. After that, I am selecting the checkbox. So with the help of click method, right? So this is the four important method. With the help of displayed method, I can check whether the checkbox is displayed or not. With the help of enablement method, I can check whether the checkbox is enabled status or disabled status. In case it is enabled status and displayed, then I can check definitely it by default it is selected or not. And after that, if I click on or select the checkbox, definitely it will be selected. So that is the equivalent operation we can perform on the checkbox. Okay. Now try. Let's run the code and let's see whether the checkbox is selected and my output is properly being displayed in my console or not. So we will try to launch the Chrome browser. It will maximize it. It will launch the page, right? That Guru 99 page. It will load the page. After that, it will identify the checkbox 1, and it will check whether it is displayed or not, is enabled or not, is selected or not. After that, it will click on the checkbox, and then again it will display whether it is selected or not after the checking the checkboxes happen. So click operation will happen. You can able to see in the UI and other remaining displayment part, right, you can get in the console. So once the page is fully loaded, it will check the checkbox 1, and other remaining part you can get in the console. You can see the checkbox 1 is getting checked here, right? Okay, and remaining part you can get in the console. You can see the display status of checkbox 1 equal to true, definitely is getting displayed. Enablement status of checkbox 1 equal to true. Selection status of checkbox 1 before click is false. Selection status of checkbox 1 after click is true, right? So these are the 4 things you can get in the console, and my code is perfectly working fine, right? And suppose say again after you deselect the checkbox. So what you need to do after selection, you need to click on again, right? You need to click here. So checkbox 1 it will be click slow, here it will be deselected. So you can give some thread time here, so that you can visualize, right, that whether it is happening or not. Thread.sleep. So I can give suppose say 2-3 seconds. So that you can visualize. Now if you want to identify other element, right, so you can create the other checkboxes as well. So you can create the variable called 2, and here checkbox 3, right, and you can change the properties, right, change the ID for each and every checkbox. So for checkbox 2, what is the thing? It will be only same thing, but it will be changed to 1, and for it will be changed to 2. The ID we need to change it. So for checkbox 2 it will be 1, and for checkbox 3 it will be 2. Okay. Now with the help of this variable you can perform the click operation, so that checkbox 2 and checkbox 3 will be also selected. And if you want to get other properties also, you can just do it, right? So here it will be checkbox 1.click, and it will be also checkbox 2.click and checkbox 3.click. So all the checkbox will be selected. After that, if you want to unselect it again, right, so that you can do the again same thing. Okay, checkbox 1.click, checkbox 2.click, so everything will be deselected. Okay. Here checkbox 2.click, checkbox 3.click. Okay. Now let's try to run the code. So whatever we are doing, we are trying to identify first checkbox 1, 2, and 3 with the help of different ID locator, corresponding ID locator. And for the checkbox 1, definitely I want to check whether displayed, enablement, selected, or not. After that, we are checking all the checkbox, right? And for the checkbox 1, we can check whether that after selection it is checking or not, right? It will give you the result. And after that, we will wait for 3 seconds and we will uncheck all the checkbox 1, 2, and 3. So that are the different operations we can perform. Let's try to run the code and let's see what is happening here. So just try to launch the Chrome browser. It will maximize the browser. It will load the page for the guru99.com full link. After that, it will check checkbox 1, 2, and 3. Once the page is fully loaded, you can see the checkbox is getting checked. It will wait for 3 seconds. It will uncheck all the check options. You can see it is happening. So my code is perfectly working fine, and the output you can get it this here, right? You can see here. Okay. First one is that display status of checkbox 1 true. Definitely it is displayed. Enable status of checkbox true. Yes. Selection status of checkbox 2 before the click is false. Then after it waited for 3 seconds, and then you can see selection status of the checkbox 1 after click is true. So that's why you can validate different operation for the checkbox, right? First, you can check whether the checkbox is displayed, enabled, or selected or not. Then you can, with the help of click method, you can select or unselect any number of times. Okay. So, but in case you have a multiple checkbox, so you can select or unselect everyone at the same time, all the options at the same time. Then for the radio button also same thing you can do, but the difference is that in case there is a 4 option of the radio button, you can only select one option at the same time. And if you go for the other option, automatically the first option whatever you selected is automatically unselected. So that is the difference, right? So with the help of click, you can select radio button from the list of options, but you cannot select more than one option. With the help of displayed method, you can verify whether the radio button is displayed or not. With the help of enable method, you can verify whether the radio button is enabled status or not. With the help of selected method, which is available in IWebElement, you can verify whether the radio button is selected or not, right? So let's try to comment out these lines of code here. So I can take the same reference here. So instead of checkbox 1, I can change it to radio 1 like that. Radio 1, okay. So I can change wherever is checkbox 1. Radio 1. Similarly for the checkbox 2, I can make it radio 2. And for checkbox 3, I can make it radio 3. So these are the three options. Okay. So here I need to change the ID also, right? For radio 1, radio 2 and radio 3. Let's try to inspect the ID here. This is the option 1, so radio button 1. So you can see the ID is VFV-7-1, 2 and 3 for 3 things. So I can change it. So this is 1-1, this is -2, and this is -3. Okay. So first one, definitely I can check whether radio 1 is displayed or not. So instead of checkbox, it could be radio button 1. I can check whether the radio button 1 is displayed or not. I can check radio button 1 is enabled or not. I can check radio button 1 is selected or not before the click. So after that I am clicking it, right? And so I can check here whether radio button selected or not after clicking a radio button. Okay, so it will be true here. After that, if I want to click the radio button 2, right, so I can do it, right? So here, so automatically radio button 1 will be deselected here. So only at the same time only we can do check of one option. Okay. So what are the operations we can do? So we have inspected 3 radio button, which is option 1, 2 and 3 with the help of the ID. So VFV-7-1, 2 and 3, these are the 3 ID for 3 options. So I was storing in 3 variables called radio 1, radio 2 and radio 3. And definitely for the radio 1, I want to check whether displayed or not, what's enabled or not, true, selected or not. So by default it will not be selected. But once we click on the radio option 1, so it will be selected, right? So then if you want to check the selection of the radio button 1 after a click, so it will be true, right? Then I am waiting for 3 seconds. I am clicking on the option radio 2, so automatically radio 1 will be unselected. Then I am again waiting for 3 seconds. I am clicking on the radio 3, so automatically radio option 1 and 2 will be unselected. Only 3 will be there. So that are the different operations you can perform. So only at the same time we can select only one option from the different list of options. So that is the difference between checkbox and radio button. So you can definitely check whether the options is displayed or not, enabled or not, selected or not. In case it is not selected, you can select it. But in case there are multiple options, if you select the other options, so automatically the previous selection will be unselected. So that is the basic difference. So let's try to run the code and let's see what is happening here. Whether your code is working properly in the UI as well as your output is properly being displayed in the your console part is being displayed properly. So Chrome browser is trying to launch. Chrome browser, it will, once the launch is successful, it will maximize the browser. It will then load the page, Guru 99. After it will identify all the three different options 1, 2 and 3 from the radio button, right? It will select that option 1 first, and definitely in the console you can get the details whether it's enabled, displayed, selected, and after option 1 selected, it will check whether it's displayed or not. Wait for 3 seconds. It will go to the option 2, and option 1 automatically unselected. It will wait for 3 seconds. It is going to the option 3. You can see UI it is happening also properly, right? And if you want to go to check the output, right, you can see here that display status of radio button 1 is true, enablement status of radio button 1 is true, selection status of radio button 1 before click is false. Definitely it is not selected by default. Selection status of radio button 1 after click is true. So that's why if you want to check for the other options, you can want to print the status of different radio button option 2 or 3, right? You can do it, right? So that are the different operations you can perform on the radio button and checkbox. So checkbox is you can select or unselect any number of time. In case there are multiple options, you can do it. But for radio button only, you can select only one option at the same time. Otherwise, you can check the display status. You can check the enablement status. You can check whether it's selected or not by default. So that are the different operations you can perform on the radio button and the checkbox. That's all from today's session. Thank you.